A tragic story from Duxbury, MA has been plastered across headline news for weeks. These are the confirmed details about Lindsay Clancy, a 32-year-old mother who allegedly killed her 3 children before attempting suicide. Cases like this are often sensationalized for clicks and views, and there is a lot of speculation about what happened. We may not ever know for sure what exactly transpired on the night of January 24 in Duxbury, MA. But we can at least start with gathering the details that have been confirmed by law enforcement, police dispatch calls, press conferences, etc. Here's what we know so far about the Lindsay Clancy case. Around 6:10 p.m. on January 24, Patrick Clancy called 911 after arriving to his Duxbury home. He found his wife, 32-year-old Lindsay Clancy, on the ground in their backyard. It appeared as though she jumped out of a top window of the house, which was about 20 feet high, in an attempt to commit suicide. When first responders arrived on the scene, they found that all 3 of the Clancy children were unconscious. Cora, 5, and Dawson, 3, were allegedly found in the basement of the home. It's not clear yet where exactly in the home Callan, 8 months old, was found. But all 3 children were airlifted to hospitals. Sadly, Cora and Dawson were pronounced dead upon arrival at the hospital. Callan fought for his life, but on January 27, he passed away. There has been much speculation about how the children were killed, but law enforcement has not confirmed anything yet. Police dispatch calls indicate that there was a knife on the scene and that Lindsay perhaps cut herself before jumping out the window. We do know that Lindsay is facing charges of murder, strangulation, and assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. Lindsay survived the suicide attempt, and police dispatch calls show that she was conscious when first responders arrived. She is currently in serious condition at a Boston hospital. Reportedly, she is able to move her arms and legs, but she is not yet able to get out of bed or walk. She has only been permitted to communicate with her attorney and medical team, nobody else. However, the court has agreed for a forensic psychologist to visit Lindsay and evaluate her with a sheriff present, out of earshot, to provide privacy. Additionally, Lindsay will be given the opportunity to speak with her parents for the first time. On Tuesday, February 7, Lindsay will be arraigned at 2 p.m. in Plymouth District Court. She will appear via Zoom from the hospital. Lindsay's defense attorney Kevin Reddington says the authorities will probably hold her without bail and she'll be sent to Framingham. MCI Framingham is a prison for female offenders that is located between Boston and Worcester. Cora, Dawson, and Callan were buried on Friday in a private service. Holy Family Church, located in Duxbury, began a 23-hour silent prayer service at the same time the children were laid to rest. Lindsay is a 32-year-old labor and delivery nurse who was reportedly on leave and being treated for postpartum depression. She was open about her mental health struggles in a Facebook group. I tried Zoloft, and after taking it for a week and increasing to 50 milligrams, I had extreme insomnia and also felt like it was worsening my depression, and I had no appetite whatsoever, so I had to stop taking it. A recent post on her personal Facebook page indicated that she was doing everything she could through diet and exercise to improve her condition. In a statement released by Patrick, he said, "Our marriage was wonderful and diametrically grew stronger as her condition rapidly worsened." He also talked about what Lindsay was like before she started struggling with PPD. "I want to ask all of you that you find it deep within yourselves to forgive Lindsay, as I have," he writes. "The real Lindsay was generously loving and caring towards everyone, me, our kids, family, friends, and her patients. The very fibers of her soul are loving. All I wish for her now is that she can somehow find peace." Reddington announced that Lindsay was prescribed 13 different psychiatric medications between October 2022 and January 2023, including Ambien, Zoloft, Ativan, Seroquel, and Prozac. The medications that were prescribed were over the top, absolutely over the top, he said. She had medical care and treatment on a regular basis, and her husband was very proactive in trying to protect her and help her with the doctor's medication she was prescribed. They went through hell, and they didn't come back. Reddington also told the press that Patrick visited Lindsay's doctors the week before the tragedy and begged for help, saying that the medications were turning her into a zombie. Reportedly, Patrick was never told by her doctors to not leave her alone with the children. The case has sparked a national conversation about postpartum depression and psychosis. By every account, Lindsay was a loving mother who adored her children. Sadly, she was struggling with her mental health, and her attorney claims that the medical system failed her. This story has captured the minds of many women across the country who have wrestled with PPD themselves. Some have even come forward to talk about the difficulties they've had taking various psychiatric medications. This case is still very much in the preliminary stages, but Reddington is considering an involuntary intoxication defense. We will know more on Tuesday when Lindsay is arraigned. Tuesday, February 7. Clancy, 32, attended the arraignment via video call, and she is still hospitalized and partially paralyzed after attempting suicide on January 24. Clancy entered a not guilty plea for the 2 counts of murder, 3 counts of strangulation or suffocation, and 3 counts of assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague argued during Clancy's arraignment that the murders of the 3 children were premeditated, while defense attorney Kevin Reddington argued that Clancy was overmedicated. In court on Tuesday, Sprague shared the tragic details of the evening of January 24 at the Clancy home in Duxbury, Massachusetts. Lindsay's husband Patrick Clancy had left the home to go to a store and pick up takeout for dinner, Sprague said. When he arrives home, the first thing he noticed was the silence. He did not see or hear the defendant or the children. He actually called her cell phone at 6:09 p.m. looking for them, and she did not answer. He went to their bedroom on the 2nd floor and the door was locked. He was able to open it, and when he looked inside, he saw blood on the floor in front of a full-length mirror and the window open. He immediately runs downstairs and into the backyard where he finds the defendant laying on the ground. She appeared to have cuts on her wrists and neck, but he stated to 911 that those wounds were no longer bleeding. She was conscious. He called 911. During this time, he asked the defendant, "What did you do?" She responded to him, "I tried to kill myself and jumped out the window." During the 911 call, Patrick can be heard asking the defendant, "Where are the kids?" He later told police that she replied, "In the basement." Sprague continued. When EMS arrived, he asked them to stay with her so he could go find his kids. The 911 call kept going. Patrick can be heard on the 911 call entering the home and heading to the basement. At one point, he calls out, "Guys?" He can then be heard screaming in agony and shock as he found his children. His screams seem to get louder and more agonized as the time passes. Sprague said Cora and Callan were on the floor in the den area of the basement, while Dawson was on the floor of his father's home office, also in the basement. Each child still had the exercise band that was used to strangle them tied around their necks when their father found them, Sprague said. Dawson and Callan were face down on the floor. Cora was on her side with her torso turned toward the floor. He removed the bands and begged them to breathe. He continued to scream uncontrollably and screamed for officers to come to the basement. The dispatchers are hearing this and send help down to the basement, and when they encounter Patrick, he yells out, "She killed the kids." Sprague said the children were rushed to ambulances and brought to a hospital. Cora and Dawson were declared dead at the hospital, while Callan was med-flighted to Boston Children's Hospital where medical staff was able to restart his pulse but not his brain activity. Callan was placed on life support. He was pronounced dead on January 27. Sprague went on to say that in a phone call to Patrick from the hospital on February 6, Lindsay said that she killed their children because she heard a voice and had a moment of psychosis. Patrick asked Lindsay what voices she heard, and she said she heard a man's voice telling her to kill the kids and kill herself because it was her last chance. Sprague argued that Lindsay planned the murders and created the scenario for it to happen on the night of January 24, in the place where they should have felt the safest, at home with their mom. Sprague accused Lindsay of deliberate premeditation and extreme atrocity and cruelty. Reddington, however, went on to argue that Lindsay was suffering from mental health problems and had been over-medicated and was suffering from mental health problems. He highlighted how Lindsay had previously written she wanted the best for her children. At the end of the arraignment, Judge John Canavan ruled that Lindsay Clancy will remain in the current hospital until medically cleared to be moved to a new facility, such as a 24/7 rehabilitation facility. Clancy cannot leave the hospital until discharged to a new facility. No monetary bail was set. Lindsay Clancy is due to appear in court again May